Do you believe that exercising more frequently leads to faster muscle growth? Who builds muscle more effectively? Someone who hits the gym every single day or someone who works out just 3 times a week? The story I'm about to share with you today is absolutely mind-blowing. A 6-month study conducted by Harvard Medical School reveals findings that could completely overturn everything we thought we knew about fitness and muscle building. I have to admit, when I first saw these research results, I couldn't believe my eyes. I had always assumed that more exercise automatically meant better results, but science has shown us something quite different from our intuition. You've probably experienced this yourself at some point. Despite working out every day, you might have noticed that your muscles weren't growing as fast as before, or perhaps you even felt like your overall strength was declining. The relationship between exercise and recovery is actually far more complex than most of us realize. To truly understand how muscle growth works, we first need to grasp the miraculous changes happening inside our bodies. When we exercise, microscopic damage occurs to our muscle fibers. During rest periods, our bodies repair this damage, making the muscles stronger than they were before. This phenomenon is called supercompensation, and it's the fundamental principle behind muscle growth. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. Harvard Medical School conducted a study with 240 adult men and women over 6 months, and the results were staggering. The group that exercised 3 times per week showed a 28% higher rate of muscle mass increase compared to the daily exercise group. Can you believe that? Even more shocking was that 73% of the daily exercise group experienced a significant slowdown in muscle growth after just 3 months. Dr. Michael Roberts, the lead researcher, explained that cortisol levels in the daily exercise group were measured to be 45% higher, on average, than in the 3 times per week group. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone, and when these levels are elevated, it actually interferes with muscle synthesis and can even promote muscle breakdown. So why does this happen? The key lies in recovery time. When we exercise, we're essentially stressing our muscles. The muscle fibers get microscopically torn, and our bodies work to repair them. The problem is that this repair process typically takes 48 to 72 hours to complete. When we exercise daily, our muscles are being stressed again before they've had a chance to fully recover. Another fascinating study from the Copenhagen University Sports Science Institute in Denmark provides even more interesting insights. They measured protein synthesis rates after strength training and discovered that, while synthesis increases immediately after exercise, it peaks at 24 hours and doesn't return to baseline levels until 48 hours later. This means that muscles actually grow during rest periods, not during the workout itself. However, the important thing to understand is that this doesn't mean we should just rest all the time. The balance between appropriate stimulation and adequate recovery is crucial. The reason 3 times per week training is so effective is that it strikes this perfect balance. The ratio of training days to rest days is approximately 11, giving muscles sufficient time to recover. A 2023 study published by MIT's Sports Science Department found that testosterone levels in the 3 times per week group were 32% higher, on average, than in the daily exercise group. Testosterone is essential for muscle growth. Additionally, growth hormone secretion was 23% higher in the 3 times per week group. But the surprises don't end there. Not only does exercise frequency matter, but exercise duration is also a critical factor. In the same Harvard study, when they divided the 3 times per week group into 2 subgroups, they found that the group exercising for 60 minutes showed 19% greater muscle growth than the group exercising for 90 minutes. This is because cortisol secretion increases exponentially as exercise duration extends. Particularly after 60 minutes, cortisol levels rise dramatically, interfering with muscle synthesis. Stanford University's exercise physiology department has dubbed this the 60-minute golden window. Now, I know what you're most curious about. How exactly should we structure 3 times per week training to maximize results? First, let's look at the exercise schedule. The most effective patterns are Monday, Wednesday to Friday or Tuesday, Thursday to Saturday. This allows for a full day of rest between sessions, giving muscles adequate recovery time. The content of your workouts is also crucial. Unlike daily training where you might split body parts 3 times per week, training should focus on full body workouts. This means stimulating both upper and lower body in each session. Build your routine around compound exercises like squats, deadlifts, bench press, and pull-ups. A University of Texas study compared full body workouts 3 times per week with daily body part splits and found that the full body group showed 34% greater strength gains. This is because compound exercises stimulate multiple muscle groups simultaneously, promoting greater growth hormone release. Exercise intensity is another key factor. For 3 times per week training, moderate to high intensity is ideal. Typically 75 to 85% of your one representative max. This intensity range allows for 8 to 12 repetitions, which is optimal for muscle growth stimulation. Research from the University of California's Exercise Science Department indicates that this intensity range provides the ideal balance between muscle fiber damage and recovery time. Too light provides insufficient stimulus, while too heavy extends recovery time excessively, reducing overall efficiency. There's another important discovery worth mentioning: the significance of warm-up and cool-down. Since each session is crucial in 3 times per week training, proper warm-up and cool-down are essential. Aim for 10 to 15 minutes of warm-up and 5 to 10 minutes of cool-down. An experiment at Sweden's Karolinska Institute showed that groups with adequate warm-up had 26% higher muscle activation during exercise. Additionally, cool-down increased lactate clearance by 41%, shortening recovery time between sessions. Let me give you a specific implementation strategy. In your first week, treat it as an adaptation period, and start with about 70% of your usual training volume. Suddenly increasing intensity can increase injury risk. From the second week onward, you can ramp up to full intensity. Aim for 3 to 4 sets per exercise with 2 to 3 minutes of rest between sets. Rest periods are important. Too short doesn't allow adequate muscle recovery, while too long causes body temperature to drop, reducing exercise efficiency. Nutrition plays an indispensable role as well. Post-workout protein intake within 30 minutes is particularly crucial for 3 times per week training. Aim for 0.3 to 0.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. For a 70-kilogram person, that's about 21 to 35 grams of protein immediately post-workout. However, there are important considerations to keep in mind. 3 times per week training isn't optimal for everyone. Individual fitness levels, age, training experience, and recovery capacity can all vary. Beginners and those over 50 should approach this with extra caution. For beginners, I recommend starting with twice per week for the first month. This gives muscles, joints, and ligaments time to adapt to exercise. Then gradually progress to 3 times per week. Conversely, experienced trainees might handle up to 4 times per week, but always with rest days between sessions. Age makes a difference too. Recovery speed is faster in your 20s and 30s, making 3 times per week training effective. But from your 40s onward, recovery speed gradually slows, and you may need to adjust exercise intensity. For those over 50, joint health becomes a consideration, so maintaining appropriate intensity is more important than lifting heavy weights. Those with chronic conditions need extra caution. If you have high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, or other conditions, consult your physician before starting any exercise program. If you experience chest tightness, dizziness, or excessive fatigue during exercise, stop immediately and consult medical professionals. People with injury history should also be careful. If you've had back, knee, or shoulder injuries, Modify exercises to avoid stress on those areas or choose alternative exercises. Consider working with a physical therapist or exercise prescription specialist if needed. For women, menstrual cycles are another factor to consider. Hormonal changes before and after menstruation can temporarily reduce exercise capacity. During these times, reduce intensity by 10 to 20% from your normal level. After 1 month, you'll feel strength increases. And after 2 months, visible physical changes will begin to appear. At 3 months, people around you will start noticing your transformation. By 6 months, you'll have a completely different physique. But the most important factor is consistency. Even the best exercise program is meaningless without consistent execution. Since 3 times per week is a manageable frequency, don't give up and see it through to the end. 3 times per week training can bring positive changes to your life, improving not just your physique, but also your confidence and stress management. I'm confident this approach will transform your fitness journey. If today's video was helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'll be cheering for your healthy transformation.